They laughed. Whispers filled the room, eyes full of disbelief, as a simple woman stepped into the spotlight to marry a billionaire. Everyone thought it was a joke. How could someone so ordinary, so unknown, deserve to be by the side of one of the richest men in the world? People said it was luck, a publicity stunt, or maybe even a mistake. But the truth was far more complicated than anyone could have guessed. This wasn't just a story about love or money. It was about something deeper. Behind the glitz and the rumors there was a secret, one that only the billionaire knew. A secret that changed everything people thought they knew about that simple woman. What if the real reason he chose her wasn't what anyone expected? What if she wasn't just a lucky charm, but someone who had saved him in ways no one else ever could? As the world watched and judged, the billionaire held a truth close to his heart, one that could shatter the assumptions, the judgments, and the laughter. What happened before their marriage was the kind of story no one saw coming. A story of strength, sacrifice, and an unexpected bond that defied all odds. But when he finally decided to reveal the truth about who really saved him, everything changed, and the laughter turned into stunned silence. The question is, what did he say? And how would it change the lives of these two forever? Stay with us because the story you think you know is just the beginning. The truth behind this unlikely marriage is waiting to be uncovered. Before anyone could truly understand the story, it was important to know who these two people really were. The billionaire was a man known for his sharp mind and immense wealth, someone who built his empire from the ground up. People admired him, envied him, and tried to figure out what made him tick. But behind the public image, he was a private person, rarely showing the world the side of him that struggled with loneliness and doubt. The woman, she came from a small town, living a life far from the luxury and fame that surrounded the billionaire. She wasn't famous or wealthy, and by all appearances, her life was simple, working hard, caring for her family, and dreaming quietly. No one expected her path to cross with his, let alone for them to fall in love and get married. That's what made the gossip and the laughter so loud. How could someone so ordinary step into a world so extraordinary? But what no one knew was the moment that changed everything. The billionaire faced a crisis that threatened not only his fortune but his very survival. In that moment of desperation, it was this simple woman who stepped in. She wasn't just a bystander or a lucky charm. She was the one who saved him. How? That's the mystery no one could understand. Was it her courage? Her kindness? Or something else entirely? Rumors swirled, but the truth stayed locked away between the two of them. What the billionaire was about to reveal wasn't just a story of rescue, but a secret that could turn their world upside down. The stakes were high, and with everyone watching, the truth might just change everything forever. What would happen when the secret finally came out? The answer was still waiting, hidden just beneath the surface. As the whispers grew louder, the world couldn't help but question what really went on behind closed doors. Some believed the billionaire's fortune blinded him, making him forget who he was or where he came from. Others thought the woman must have had her own hidden agenda, a reason no one yet understood for stepping into such a complicated life. The truth, however, was tangled in emotions deeper than money or fame. Friends close to the billionaire noticed a change in him after meeting her. He seemed calmer, more grounded, like she brought a peace he had never known before. Yet, despite this, there were those in his inner circle who resisted her presence, doubting her intentions and trying to protect what they called the real world from this unexpected influence. Tensions grew quietly, like an unseen storm threatening to break. On the other side, the woman felt the weight of all the judgment. It wasn't just about marrying a billionaire. It was about being constantly watched, scrutinized, and often dismissed. She had left behind everything familiar, stepping into a world of pressure she never asked for. But what drove her was more than love or ambition. There was a reason she stayed, a secret she guarded fiercely. That secret tied them together in ways no outsider could imagine. Meanwhile, a subplot emerged, mysterious messages and subtle warnings hinted at a danger connected to the billionaire's past, a shadow from his empire that refused to disappear. Was the woman's role just to save him emotionally? Or was there something bigger at play? As doubts and fears grew, the question became who was really protecting whom. With so much at stake, the truth about who saved who was still locked away, and revealing it might just open a door no one was ready to walk through. The tension in their world was reaching a breaking point. Every glance, every whispered conversation seemed charged with something unspoken but urgent. The billionaire's closest allies, once so sure of their control, now looked uneasy, sensing that this simple woman had become more than just a wife. She was a force they couldn't ignore. Behind the polished smiles and the grand parties, alliances were shifting, and old secrets were threatening to resurface. The woman, too, felt the pressure mounting. The quiet strength she had shown before was now tested in ways she never expected. She wasn't just fighting for her place beside the billionaire, but for the truth that could clear their names or destroy everything they'd built together. Late at night, when the world was silent, they would sit together, knowing that soon everything would have to come to light. The fear of what the truth might bring was almost as heavy as the hope it promised. Meanwhile, the mysterious messages grew more frequent, more direct. Someone or something from the billionaire's past was closing in. The woman's secret connection to that danger was the last piece of the puzzle no one dared speak about. What did she really know? What role did she play in the life he had left behind? The answers felt like a ticking clock, counting down to a moment that would change everything. As the day approached when the billionaire was ready to finally tell the truth, the air was thick with anticipation. The world was waiting, some with hope, others with skepticism, and many with disbelief. The question was no longer who saved whom, but what the consequences would be once that truth was revealed. And just as the moment seemed within reach, a sudden unexpected event threatened to shatter their fragile world forever. Just as the billionaire prepared to step forward and share the truth that would silence the doubts and change everything, an unexpected twist shattered the fragile calm. A shocking revelation came from an unlikely source, someone from the billionaire's past who had been quietly watching from the shadows. This person stepped into the light with a story that challenged everything the public thought they knew. Suddenly, the narrative wasn't just about a simple woman marrying a billionaire anymore. It was about betrayal, secrets, and a power struggle that ran deeper than anyone imagined.
The new information cast a dark shadow over the woman's role in the billionaire's life. Was she really the hero who saved him, or was there something else at play? The whispers of a hidden agenda grew louder, and those who had once supported her began to question their loyalty. At the same time, the billionaire was forced to confront demons from his past, mistakes he thought were buried, now threatening to undo everything he had worked so hard to build. The tension exploded inside their world, turning friends into foes and allies into enemies. The mysterious messages took on a new meaning, hinting at a conspiracy that reached far beyond the couple's personal story. What if the danger wasn't just about the billionaire's empire, but about something even bigger, a secret that could bring down powerful people and expose hidden truths? In the midst of the chaos, the simple woman's quiet strength was tested like never before. She faced accusations, doubts, and a growing storm that threatened to tear them apart. The stakes had never been higher. As the world held its breath, waiting for the billionaire to reveal the truth, the real question became, could their bond survive the shadows now closing in on them both? With the world watching and the pressure at its peak, the billionaire finally stood before the cameras, his voice steady but eyes heavy with emotion. He didn't defend himself with pride or arrogance. Instead, he spoke from the heart. He shared how, during a moment of crisis when his empire was on the verge of collapse due to a betrayal from within, it was the simple woman, his wife, who stepped in. Not with money, not with connections, but with courage, clarity, and the ability to see what no one else could. She uncovered the sabotage that even his most trusted advisors had missed. She saved not just his business, but his sense of purpose. The crowd fell silent. The same people who had laughed, who had doubted her, now stared in disbelief. And then, just as the tension seemed to ease and her role was finally honored, came the twist no one expected. The person who had exposed the woman's alleged hidden agenda stepped forward again, this time with a tearful confession. It was a lie. A desperate act born from jealousy, not truth. The accuser admitted that years ago, they were the one who betrayed the billionaire and feared she would be the one to uncover it. So they tried to discredit her before she could speak. In that moment, everything shifted. The story wasn't about a rich man marrying a poor woman anymore. It was about love, trust, and how sometimes the person who seems the least powerful holds the greatest strength. The couple stood together, stronger than ever. But just as peace returned, a quiet message buzzed on the billionaire's phone. One line, asterisk, you still don't know everything. Asterisk, his expression froze, and the crowd never saw the fear that suddenly flickered in his eyes. The billionaire stared at the message for a long moment, his fingers frozen above the screen. But instead of panic, he slowly looked up at his wife, and she nodded gently, as if she knew. As if she'd always known that their journey wouldn't end with applause or headlines, but with trust in each other, no matter what shadows lingered. They didn't chase down the sender. They didn't react with fear. They simply walked out of that spotlight together, hand in hand, choosing peace over drama. In the weeks that followed, the media quieted down. The once viral story of the simple woman who married a billionaire transformed into something deeper. People began to talk less about wealth or status and more about resilience, loyalty, and how easy it is to misjudge someone without knowing the full truth. The woman didn't return to her old life, nor did she try to fit into anyone's idea of a perfect billionaire's wife. She stayed true to herself, quiet, kind, and grounded. And that's exactly what the billionaire needed all along. The false accuser stepped back from the public eye, facing the consequences of their actions. Those who once doubted the woman came forward with apologies, though she never sought them. She had nothing to prove anymore. The mysterious message remained a small crack in an otherwise healing story. But sometimes, stories don't need every question answered. Sometimes, the most powerful ending is knowing that even in a world of power, money, and secrets, a heart grounded in truth can stand strong. In the end, they weren't just a billionaire and a simple woman. They were two people who reminded the world that love,